welcome and good morning. Hi. I appreciate you all being here on this lovely day. Bright and sunny, but not quite so hot. I'm the Reverend Natalie Fenimore. I serve this congregation as minister along with the Reverends Ned White and Jennifer Brower. And today I'm joined in our service today by our worship assistant, Winterflower Robinson. If you would be interested in being a worship assistant, please contact one of the ministers. We would love to have more voices for more of you in worship. So, if you are a newcomer today, we hope you have a good experience here, and we invite you to a complimentary luncheon immediately following the service. A gold guest lunch card is available for you in the worship area, which is out in the lobby. If you're interested in more information about the congregation, please complete the blue newcomer card found in your pew rack, or once again go out to the worship welcome area and talk to someone there about this congregation. You'll find that we are a very lively place and that you can find many opportunities for education, fun, fellowship, and spirituality here. Please see the inside back cover of this, your order of service, for details about the many activities that will be upcoming. I'd like to highlight a few things for you. First, the planned expedition to Sagamore Hill, originally scheduled for July 12th, has been postponed to August 17th. Also, we are beginning our school supplies drive for the village of Hempstead. 29.1% of the children in the village of Hempstead live at the poverty level. And so in our yearly, we collect school supplies for them for the beginning of the school year. There's information about what supplies are most needed and a place to drop them off in the lobby right outside this door. And we would ask that you bring your supplies by August 20th so that we're able to get them to the children before school starts. Also, for information on helping immigrant families and children being held in detention, please look for flyers on the table in the lobby under the sign, Families Belong Together. The Social Justice Committee is having a potluck and retreat on July 11th. There's information in your order of service as well. I also ask that you plan ahead and put on your calendar our 13th annual summer orchestra concert here at Shelter Rock. That is August 5th at 1 p.m. after our worship service. It's a great time that's had by all. Beautiful music, lots of fellowship and fun, and an opportunity to be present on our beautiful grounds on a lovely summer day. So now, as is our custom, I invite you to greet your neighbor. Now for these opening words from the Reverend Victoria Stafford. Our mission is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, which are somewhat narrower, not the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the strident gates of self-righteousness, which creak with shrill and angry hinges. People cannot hear us there, they cannot pass through, nor the cheerful, flimsy gate of everything is gonna be all right, but a different, sometimes lonely place, the truth-telling, telling the truth about your own soul first and its condition, the place of resistance and defiance, the place of ground from which you can see the world, both as it is and as it could be, as it will be, the place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but the joy of the struggle. And we stand there, beckoning and calling, telling people what we are seeing, asking people what they see. Please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Remain standing for the words of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacraments, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other.
Learn about other cultures and music
These words of offering are by Brennick Lovely. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to all so many of us. A community of memory and of hope, for we are now keepers of the dream. Will the ushers please come up? The reading is entitled The Back Scratcher by David Bumhog. The fall from grace, the great disruption of primordial order. The original sin had nothing to do with eating apples or talking with snakes. The instrument of our fall was a wooden back scratcher. That piece of wood bent at one end so that each can reach the unreachable point. There, between the shoulder blades, down just a little, up just a little bit. There, where the most persistent itch always takes up residence. Before the back scratcher, before that simple infernal device, we, like all our primate kin, depended on one another to do for us what we could not do for ourselves. You scratch my back, and I'll scratch yours. Before the back scratcher, before that simple infernal tool, we needed each other to scratch the unreachable itch. The wooden back scratcher dissolved our bond of Thank you. And loosen the tie to community and tempt us to believe in our own godlike self-sufficiency. And God walked into the cool of the garden, and he saw a primate standing all alone. "What have you done," God asked, "that you stand alone?" "I have found a back scratcher," the beast said, "and now I need no one." "Poor beast," God said, "you must now leave the garden. In Eden, no one stands alone. Each depends on one another." And thus began our wandering, our pacing up and down, all through the earth, scratching our own itches, pretending self-sufficiency, the vague yearning for our primordial order, a world where you scratch my back, I scratch yours. A wooden back scratcher is poor compensation for the gentle touch of a loving hand. In the spirit of this reading, I invite you to light a candle of joy or of sorrow, of memory or of hope.
let us sit in the stillness and the silence. Open our hearts and minds to the awareness of the joys and sorrows here in this room. We hold in our hearts a member of this congregation, Joe Lowy, who is in intensive care at Northwell Hospital. We also hold in our hearts his wife, Naomi. We grieve the death of UUCSR member Jim Bershers. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Bershers Gallo family. May our compassion move from this room out into the world. We weep for children suffering from violence and poverty and lack of love and care. We struggle with parents and families trying to bring their children back into their arms. Our hope is for a world where there is no need to separate families, where all may live in peace and prosperity, no matter the country in which they were born. It is our hope, it is our prayer that love and compassion may prevail on this earth, not only in some future time, not only given by some future people, but in this time, given by us to one another. So may it be. Amen. Thank you to Blythe and to Kristen. So often, in what we have come to call these times, we ask ourselves, what should we do? What can we do? Another question we might ask, one that may lead us closer to an answer, is this one: where might we be? Where should we be? Where are we called to locate ourselves so that we may be in conversation with these, the words of the prophet Micah? Where do we need to be to learn to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God? The prophets and seers of many of the world's faiths and philosophies have chosen to locate themselves in hard and challenging places. As Luke Powery, the dean of Duke University Chapel, writes about Jesus in the book of Matthew, he, Jesus, leaves the familiar, comfortable territory and people to enter a sort of red light district, a place most people would not dare to go. Going there is socially unacceptable. It's where the so-called outcasts, the unclean, the undesirables live. But we discover that the outsider finds a place inside the heart of God. Muhammad leaves the comfort he has known as a wealthy man from a prominent clan and embraces women and slaves as the first believers in Islam. Moses turns from his life as a prince of Egypt to claim a home among Jewish slaves. This mirrors the founding narrative of Buddhism. The Buddha turns from his sheltered life as Prince Gautama when he discovered the existence of the poor and the sick, which had been kept from him because it was not a princely view. But once the suffering president of the world was known to him, the Buddha was compelled to move toward those in pain, not to shelter himself, not to remain in a place of comfort, which was and still often is the place of ignorance and self-deception, a place of deafening falsehoods and blinding inequity. The lives of prophets, the stories we tell of them are, of course, lessons for us. That's why we tell them. What do we do or not do? Where do we stay? Where do we go? Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha did not choose to ascend. They lived lives of engagement, wrestling with injustice, being in the dirt with the dirty, the hungry, the needy, being faithful unto death to the business of humanity, to life as a spirit-making journey. And our Unitarian Universalist humanism affirms our own individual human agency. It affirms that each of us has the power to choose to be an agent of change, a welcomer, a greeter, a bridge builder, and a challenger or a comforter. The holy within each of us is there to be known and to be shared. We too are called to faithfulness, faithfulness to justice, to mercy, to humility, to love. The source of our Unitarian Universalist principles includes the words and deeds of prophetic men and women, those of other faiths like Gandhi or King or Ella Baker or Dorothy Day, and Unitarian Universalists like Thoreau or Francis Harper or Susan B. Anthony or Whitney Young, and so many others who have carried the light of our collective chalice out into the struggle for justice. Some of us recently attended our Unitarian Universalist General Assembly and engaged with the larger community of our faith. We located ourselves together so that we might gain greater strength and clarity about our vision, about how we were going to bring about a more just world, the world that we hope we will live into. I remember the powerful Where lecture given at General Assembly in 2017 by Brian Stevenson. Stevenson is the executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative. He asked people to get proximate, to get close. He says that proximity has taught him some basic humbling truths, including this vital lesson. Each of us is more than the worst thing we have ever done. The true measure of our character is how we treat the poor, the disfavored, the accused, the incarcerated, and the condemned. Our shared brokenness connects us. And if we're willing to get closer to people who are suffering, you will find the power to change the world. You will begin to recognize the humanity that resides in each of us. Brian Stevenson asks us to consider how we have distanced ourselves from those who are suffering. I know that, yes, our good liberal instincts, so often present in a Unitarian Universalist gathering, may cause us to begin our turn toward the other, begin our turn toward the outsider, but so much in the larger culture that surrounds us serves to distance us from each other, serves to make it so hard to complete that turn toward the other. Most of the time, we can't quite make the full turn. We get busy with other things in our lives. So we say, might it not be the case that someone else is going to do that? We give money to good causes, right? We try to elect good officials to represent us, right? But might it be the case that we've come to rely too much on the comfort of this kind of social back scratcher? Maybe we take our eye off the ball a little bit. Maybe we don't demand accountability from those good people we elect. Maybe we don't monitor where the money goes that we give. Sometimes it's hard to find the time to do that follow-up, to keep our eye on the ball. So we might ask ourselves, what are we doing? Can we get close enough to scratch each other's backs again? Can we reclaim the bonds of reciprocity, the ties of community, and remember our interdependence? Can we keep that central? Can that guide us? Can that tell us where to locate ourselves in life? Because it is like the real estate agents say, isn't it? Location, 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 right? The real estate that is this congregation, that is any congregation, any house of faith, like the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock, this is both a particular physical space, a location, a building where we choose to be. It has fancy stuff. It has a beautiful yard. It's got a fountain. We even have a waterfall. However, more than that, it is a location of the Spirit. It is a place that we've come to leave the familiar, to leave the comfortable, to leave the usual territory. This is a place of newness, of new being, a place of possibility, a place of courage, a place of potential. It's a place of hope. It's a place of struggle. It's a location of our faithfulness. It is a place where we wrestle with the messiness of community building. In ways both large and small, ministry is done here and has been done here at this location, at Plan Dome, at Murray Street. Ministry has been done here by these people for over 75 years. And I ask you to fully embrace the profound beauty of that, the profound beauty of what has been created here and must be recreated together again and again and again. Our very own denomination is lately struggling with its own identity. Can our Unitarian Universalist theology hold fast to its covenant of right relationship with all the diversity that it purports to welcome. Where does Unitarian Universalism locate itself, and with what people? May we choose to journey into the lonely places with those who are labeled unclean and undesirable. May we be near to those who are in need, not because they need us, but because we need them. The righteous and rebellious hopefulness of those who have been on the outside can be moved into the center of our faith, and it could bring us a strength and vision to build the future that we want. It can be the bedrock on which we found our faith. I began by talking about how prophets leave the safe places, move closer to the margins, to the edges of society. In the story of Jesus found in the book of Matthew, Jesus goes to this red light district, and he encounters there a Canaanite woman. She is therefore doubly lesser, a woman and a foreigner. But this woman resists and rejects her marginalization. She sees Jesus in the neighborhood and steps up and challenges him to heal her daughter. She asks for mercy. She demands to be considered as a worthy human being. The Canaanite woman demands this for her child, for the future. She's brave, she's bold and faithful, and she moves Jesus to provide a welcome and a healing. A welcome and a healing he did not originally intend to give. So the prophet not only speaks, but listens. We have to listen, to hear the stories of others, those stories that we must get close enough to listen, to hear, to learn from. As the theologian James Cone, who died this year, wrote in 1969, the passive acceptance of injustice is not the way of human beings. That statement is still, of course, relevant today. We must remember that all times are hard times for someone. Therefore, we must remain committed to not losing hope. That hope is grounded not in optimism, but persistence and resistance and vision. To be hopeful is not to be passive. Hope is active. We have to get close to the places and the people of hope. And we may regard this not as hard and difficult and painful work, but as love and joy-filled ministry. May we remember how good it is to feel another scratching your back. How good it is to have someone scratch your back. We can all say, right now. What might be found here, or what might be more surely made here in this location, is a community where the words of the prophet Micah can be made manifest. Here, you might choose to turn toward the good and to wrestle with what that means and what the good is for you, for this community, for the world, for Unitarian Universalism. And here, you may get close enough to those who are in need of justice and mercy. Here, you may walk humbly with your God and with each other. May the strength found in humility and love empower this community and its ministry. In this location, may we affirm that our lives are both full of struggle and full of joy. In this place, in this location of your ministry, our ministry together to one another, may we find that life flows on and on and on. And because it does, how can we keep from singing? Amen. Please rise in body and spirit for hymn number 108. My life flows on in endless song. These words from John Murray, the founder of the Universalist Church in America. Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. May it be so.
Amen.